Thank you very much, Radha Mataji. Now we are recording, and we were so far mentioning these 3 components from empathic communication, and I will start again sharing the screen so we can have a visual overview of these steps. And where is my visual that I want to show? Just a moment. We were okay, here it is. Let's see if I can make it bigger, any bigger. Anyway, you can see
we
that.
Can do it.
Yeah.
We can do it.
So we were talking about in last 4 sessions about these first 3 steps of empathic communication. And this drawing here is illustrating a little bit more what do we mean by this, like observation. And observation means things that we are observing with our eyes, or that we are hearing or perceiving some other observable ways. And we learned that it's important to distinguish observations from evaluations, like judgments, criticism, analysis, etc. The second step in the empathic communication model is feelings. And we learned that feelings are messengers that are bringing information about the needs unmet or met in our system. And we learned to distinguish the feelings from thoughts, or so-called false feelings or false feelings. We didn't go so much into this false feelings. This is the material for the next level courses. And the third step is the needs, universal human needs, which are abstract, universal, which means every human being has the same needs, and they are not connected to any situation, person, location, action, or object. Needs are universal. Versus strategies, which are very specific, and strategies are the way how we choose to meet our needs. And today we go to the 4th step, requests. And the title or the topic of our today's session is to expressing honestly what's alive in us. So it is maybe different honesty that we have been used to think about. Like, for example, before I became across with a nonviolent communication or empathic communication, my understanding of honesty was that I'm expressing honestly my judgments. Like, I like this thing, or I don't like this thing. This thing is beautiful, or this thing is ugly. But now, while having been studying empathic communication, we distinguish this kind of honesty, which we actually categorize into blockage of communication. It belongs to category of judgments or analysis, or which also have their place. It doesn't mean that we from now on should drop all these kinds of things. They definitely have their place. But when our goal is connection, like we say in empathic communication, our goal is not to change other people or to get other people to make what we want or how we want them to behave. Our goal is to create connection that enables everyone to give freely from a happy heart. So when our goal is connection, then it's important to realize distinction between these different kinds of honesty. And the honesty we are talking today is honestly expressing what's alive in me, what are my observations, for example, my feelings triggered by something outside, my needs that my feelings are pointing towards, and what is my request, what is the strategy that I would like to choose or request from someone else or from myself. So this is our today's topic. Any comments, questions, corrections so far? Okay, then let's go do today's topic. Where's the right page I need? Okay, there are many things open here. Let me stop the sharing for a while and get the right page. All right. I've been really busy, so many things open on my screen. Yeah. Anybody, have you heard or read Bir Krishna Maharaj's book, Empathic Communication, about request part? I have listened. Okay, I found the right thing. Requests. Yeah. Excuse me for this. Okay. So, session 5, expressing honestly what's alive in me. Let's look first this key intention and remind us what are actually the intentions when we are using or when we are choosing to use empathic communication, because empathic communication is a tool and we have free will whether we use this tool or we use something else when we are communicating. So these are 3 following intentions, which ones, when using empathic communication, they help us contribute to the world where everyone's needs can be attended peacefully and when everyone's needs are mattering equally. So the first intention is self-compassion, and that was the topic of our last session. Would anyone like to read this intention about self-compassion?
We aim to release all self-blame, self-judgment, and self-demand and meet ourselves with compassion and understanding for the needs we try to meet through all our actions.
Thank you. Yes, that is really bringing up the essence of our last session, why self-empathy or self-connection is so important. Because we can give to others only what we have in our own hearts. And if we don't have compassion and love towards ourselves, then how can we give it to others? So that is one intention. Another intention is prioritizing connection. Who would like to read that?
I can do that. Okay, please.
Okay, thank you. We aim to focus on connecting open-heartedly with everyone's needs instead of seeking immediate and potentially compromised solutions, especially in challenging situations. Thank you.
Thank you. So this key intention brings on the light connection, that will prioritize connection. And we can even put it into short sutra, that connection before solutions. And why is it so useful? I can confirm from my own practice that when we start to search for solutions without connection, without connecting on the need levels, it often doesn't end up well. because we are on the mind level, and mind is creating so many thoughts and ideas which we would like, but another person's mind could be creating totally different ones which they like, and these tend to bring us to different directions instead of same direction. But when we connect first, really on deep level, on the needs level, then very often this empowers us and opens an unlimited source of potential solutions, which are enabling us to encompass everyone's needs without compromising. Why the compromise is not the perfect way? Anybody could guess?
Compromise is like we are actually suppressing the need for a certain period of time, but then the need is not met actually, because compromise is when one person has to sacrifice something for the sake of something.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. Compromise is actually that everyone loses something. There is no, fully free will to go along what we decided. Okay, I give up something, but there is something that is not satisfied. But when we get connected to the needs, and that's what we mean by connection, truly deep connection with ourselves, with a deep truth in ourselves and in others, and hold everyone's needs with the same care, then miracles will happen. Then we are able to find ways or solutions that are taking care of everyone's needs fully without compromise. Doesn't it sound good? All right. And then next principle is caring equally for everyone's needs. Who would like to read that?
I can do that.
Please.
We aim to make requests and not demands, thus staying open to the other's strategies to meet their needs. When hearing a no to our request, or when saying no to another's request, we aim to work towards solutions that meet everyone's needs, not just our own and not just the other person's.
Yes, thank you. Exactly. This is confirming about what we just mentioned about compromises and solutions that grow out from the deep connection with needs. How does that sound? Any comments, doubts, corrections, questions? So when you remember this model, this picture I showed in the beginning, what image was next to request step? Do you remember?
Request versus demand.
Yes.
It was a heart.
Yes.
Was it a heart?
Heart
No.
was on the needs. No, excuse me. Heart was on the feelings level. Let's see if I'm getting this picture up again. I'm really clumsy with this technology. These were the feet. You remember it was a figure, and the head with face and eyes and ears was about observations, right? Then the heart was in the heart level, about symbolizing the feelings, and the big round belly with a navel in the middle was on the level of the needs, symbolizing needs. And maybe I'll give a little background why the needs have put on the level of this navel or belly. Has anybody of you had experiences with Aikido?
No.
Right. I used to have one training in empathic communication or in nonviolent communication, which is the source of empathic communication, with one Aikido trainer who taught Aikido and NVC. And he taught us that when we physically focus on the point that is below the navel, I forgot the name of this point. When we really focus on that point, we become physically so stable that even person much stronger than us is not able to push us out from our balance. And then he taught us that when we connect to our needs, we become also very much balanced and rooted, so much so that the outside events or happenings or disturbances are not anymore able to push out our balance. So the needs are really crucial and very powerful point and step in empathic communication, but needs are not all. Because when we, for example, state to others our observation, what we observe about, let's say there is a situation that something triggers us. So we choose to use empathic communication and state our observations, what we see or hear, then refer to our feelings that are triggered by the situation and connect to our needs and express our needs. And if we stop there, it may leave other person into very uncomfortable situation because they may feel like confused and having very heavy weight on them with all these feelings and needs that we have been loading on them. They would not know what to do about it. And it may trigger often feelings of guilt and shame and confusion and kind of being pulled to somehow try to console us or start to protect or defend or all these kind of patterns. Therefore, request is like a feat, which is putting this process into motion. Based on our own needs, we will try to figure out the strategy that possibly would help us to take care of our needs. So we are making very clear and doable request. What would we like to happen in this situation? And request has also its criteria. Let's look at this. There is also actually differentiation in this point, request versus demands. And request means that we are open to both. We are open to answer yes to our request, as well equally we are open to answer no. How come? Anyone can elaborate on that? Like it's stating here. When hearing a no to our request, or when saying no to others' request, we still aim to work towards the solution that meets everyone's needs. How come when others say no? How would that help to get to needs?
Because that's willingness.
Yes, please.
There's willingness. There's willingness.
Willingness about what?
Willingness to meet each and every one, like meet my needs and meet your needs as well.
Yes. And when there is this willingness, then we don't take the no as a rejection, right? But we are becoming aware that when other person says no to our needs, it's not no to us, it's no to our, even not to our needs, but it's no to this particular strategy or request. Then other side of this no, they are saying yes to their needs. So behind each no are actually also needs.
Compromising?
Yes. Sumukha Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
I was thinking, request, is it for the needs only, or some requests we say, some requests for the want, and I can say no to that. It's only for the needs you meaning here. It's not want. Somebody requesting me that he wants to do something, or he's requesting me so he needs to do something. So what are you actually referring here to, Mataji? Request to the needs or request to the want? That's my question.
Yeah, it's actually, if I understand your question correctly, that when someone says no, it's actually not no to needs, but it's no to this specific request or specific strategy. Because we also talked, when we talked about needs, that needs are universal, which means needs are not connected to any specific request or strategy. There are plenty. Krishna has created this world in this way, that there are plenty of strategies, there are plenty of resources to take care of our needs. And there are many, many, many possibilities to meet our needs. But if we have not been aware of our needs, we don't have yet the needs consciousness, it doesn't mean that we don't have needs. Needs are still the motivation power in ourselves. And we are doing actions, we are taking actions, we are choosing actions different ways, which are still attempts to meet needs. But when we are not aware of our needs, these attempts may often bring us further from our needs rather than help to satisfy the needs. And when we are not aware of our needs, we may be hanging on one particular strategy because this is at least some kind of vague way to keep us connected to what we actually need. It might not be particularly fulfill that need, but it's kind of like drowning man hanging on this last straw of bale, right? But when we become aware of our needs, it opens up this kind of creativity, creative source, that we see that, okay, this is maybe my favorite strategy, my most preferable strategy or request, how to meet this need. But if this is not available in one or another reason at that moment, we will not be desperate. We see that there are different ways. Maybe then I choose this different strategy or that one or that one. So I don't have to need or let my needs to be starving when I start to get connected to them. And maybe some of you experienced in our last session about self-connection, connecting to our own needs. Already this process of trying to figure out what are our needs and trying to connect to our needs can be very satisfying to many needs itself, because we are creating self-connection, which is essential in order to be connected to others. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes, I thought that this thought came in my mind that if we don't list down our needs and we just move with the time, whatever is going on coming, and we'll never know what our need is actually. It was good that I sat down and write down the needs from the previous session, and I realized now in the session that needs, we forget our needs, and we have to list down the needs and we'll keep it in front of us somewhere. No, list this need, I need to do this. No, prioritize the needs. That came in my mind. I understood what you were trying to explain. It is a need, it's not the one. I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Can I just quickly see that because we just discussed that request actually, if there is no willingness, then the answer no doesn't seem to be, if there's no willingness, the answer no seems to be an obstacle. And then the connection, the prioritizing connection is lost. We are more focused on solution rather than connection. So it becomes automatically, it becomes a demand. But when there is a request, when there is a willingness, and with that willingness there's a no, then this willingness, as you just mentioned, it's not a barrier to us. the main thing is not solution, it's more of a connection, which we actually go back to the needs section, where we see that the barrier is not solution, but it's not the barrier, sorry. The focus is not solution, but the focus is connection. Did I understand it correctly?
Yes, let me check if I understood you correctly. I heard you saying that if there is willingness in us and willingness to connect and willingness to care for our needs as much as for other person's needs, then the no is not anymore like an obstacle on the way of solution. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yes, because when our intention is so important, that we are clear and aware what is our intention. And it takes also practice, because most of us are not really most likely used to look inside so deeply and so thoroughly that we are clear actually what is our intention. Most of us may be trained just to act and react and, you know, get what we want no matter what. And so it's like really reprogramming ourselves or changing our internal landscape and becoming aware. Like Srila Prabhupada actually said that before Krishna consciousness, or before Krishna consciousness, we have to become conscious of ourselves. Otherwise, we don't know why we do things, and we are like robots. We easily become ritualistic, isn't it? When we are not aware of our intention. And therefore, it's so useful to check our intention now and then, especially in this kind of relationships or situations, that when we feel that something gets stuck, that I may start getting passionate about what I want, then it's good to go back and check, what is actually my intention? Is my intention really connection? Because that's not our habitual way, right? Our habitual way is to go for solutions, ta-da, right?
Yeah.
But this is very passionate way of doing, and passion has its place, right? But just to be aware what we want to create, and sometimes passion is needed. Like, for example, let's say the child is running to the street where the cars are going. So there is no time to check our intention, right? We just grab the child and push her away from the danger. But then we can check our intention, right? How do we react then? Do we give a slap to the child and say, I will teach you how to, you know, run away from me and to the street? What is our intention? Our intention is to punish. And we believe that when we punish, then a person learns, right? Then the person changes behavior. It's totally different topic, but just to grab. But when we are sharing honestly with child what we are actually, I felt terrified when I see you running away to the street, and because I really care for your safety, and that's why I used protective force to remove you from danger. So there is two kinds of forces: protective use of force or punitive use of force. But that's again the topic for some next course.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So intention is so super important, and that's why we are repeating here these key intentions. And I'm working on putting together the manual for this course so that you could have these points afterwards. I might not be ready when we end this course, but I hope you forgive me that I will send you then later on this manual.
In time.
To be yeah. So yes, now we come to the question. Let's read this blue part. We made the introduction to requests, that the request is putting all this model into motion. And I would like us to read this sentence that is made blue here. Who would like to read that? Or there are actually two sentences.
I can read. When our needs are not being fulfilled, we follow the expression of what we are observing, feeling, and needing with a specific request. We ask for actions that might fulfill our needs. How do we express our requests so that others are more willing to respond compassionately to our needs?
Yes. So it's very important how do we express also our request. I can make example of my mistake, how I sometimes express request when I forgot about it, how to do it in a way that that helps us to be also more willing to respond compassionately. For example, I sent out the request like that. To another group, I request that all of you who come to the next session, take your pens and notebooks and this and that and that and that. How does that sound? Does that sound like helping us, others to be willing? Or does it sound more like a command or demand?
It sounds more like a demand. Also, when we say, I want, I would like.
Yes.
It also sounds like a demand.
Yes. And there is like, again, this subtle moment that if we already have connection and deep trust in our relationship, then the words doesn't matter so much. But if we are not there, then it's useful to be very careful how do we use the words. So let's look then, what are the suggestions to formulate our requests so that others would be more willing to respond compassionately to our needs. We go here and let's look this. Let's look this blue column first. Who would like to read that?
Request. The clearer we are about what we want, the more likely it is that we'll get it.
Yes. So the clarity is so important. And when I started to observe myself, I noticed how unclear I am. I'm just blabbling and like Babylonian, just speaking and letting my wishes like float in the air, but not really making clear request. What do I want from other person? And that could be so confusing because most of us are not mind readers. They cannot read our minds. What do we actually asking from them? So clarity is super useful and super important. And what this clarity means, we will now look the components what are contributing to clarity. Who would like to read that?
Yes, I can read.
Please.
Use positive action language. Ask what you want instead of what you don't want. It's impossible to do a don't. Yes.
Any comments on that?
This is very funny. I don't like this.
You don't like it?
Yes. Sometimes, yeah, sometimes we say, you know, what we don't tell them what we want, but we say we don't want.
Yes.
It's happen.
Yes. It's like habit as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's habit. Yeah, we don't want this one. We don't want, but we never tell we want this one. I want this one.
Yes. And in Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication book, there are quite few beautiful examples about what happens when we express what we don't want, but we don't say what wants. Like, let's say if I remember him correctly, there was a lady who said in a training that I don't want that my husband doesn't let me to be free. And then when they started to dig deeper, what is it what you actually want? It wasn't so easy at all to find. And when she finally found out what she wants, she became embarrassed. She said, I want that he will say yes to whatever I do and whenever I do. So when we are unclear, then we may have really kind of oppressive desires or requests in ourselves. And this vagueness is kind of masking those things. And for sure, it doesn't help other person to respond compassionately, right? And if I remember correctly, then psychologists have even discovered that brain is not hearing don't. And Bir Krishna Maharaj brings example in his Bhagavad Gita study classes that if he would tell us, don't think about pink elephant, then all we can do would be thinking about pink elephant. So the brain doesn't hear the don't, he still hears the action behind that. So this point is reminding us that positive action language means that instead of stating negative what we don't want, and people cannot do don't, right? Then we state the positive. What do we actually want other people to do, which we hope will help us satisfy our needs? Does that make sense?
I just, with this statement, this is very nicely said. Every initiation, when Gurudev talks about the 10 offenses, instead of saying the don'ts, he actually puts it in a positive way, like serve the Vaishnavas. Instead of do not blaspheme the pure devotees of that one, he says that serve the Vaishnavas. So he gives us a solution. He gives us in a positive way, do, and rather than not, don't.
Yeah.
So otherwise, it's just very clear statement. And every initiation, I observe that he says the positives rather than focusing on the negatives.
Yes, thank you. Beautiful example. Because it's difficult to do the don't. When we focus on positive, then we redirect the energy to different direction and contributes to clarity. Okay, let's look the next point that contributes to clarity. Who would like to read that?
Express is in form of concrete actions. Avoid vague, abstract, ambiguous phrasing.
Yes. How do you understand this one? What is it? What does it mean? Express it in form of concrete action and avoid vague or abstract or ways of phrasing that could be understood in many different ways.
Like when we are offering solution, or we are building a connection, or if we are placing a request, we should be straightforward in terms of I'm very thirsty. If I say like that, I'm very thirsty. This is pretty vague. Like, can I get a glass of water? This is pretty straight. Like, I'm wanting somebody to get me a glass of water rather than providing me solutions to my being thirsty.
Yes, thank you. Any other thoughts? How about if I have a need for respect, for example? I feel I have my need for respect is in a certain kind of interaction not met, and I would make a request that, would you please respect me? How about that?
That is a very bad request.
Why is it bad?
Because you earn respect. You don't ask or demand or request for respect. You have to earn it.
Yes, and it's very vague, isn't it? When I say, please respect me, other person may say, I do. I really do respect you, right? So it's so vague.
Yeah.
So, and what kind of action or behavior would I actually like to meet in order to get my need for respect satisfied, right? What could be? Let's brainstorm. What could be the very clear, doable action? What one could ask if one needs respect? Any ideas?
Like a statement or something? I didn't understand this section here. Like, what is doable means.
Doable means like very specific action. Let's say same example. Instead of making request, I would like you to respect me, right? Which is so vague, as we discovered. Doable instead could be, would you be willing to say Hari Bol when we meet in the temple compound?
Yeah. I would
See the
say,
difference?
Would you be
I-
happy to? Oh, sorry.
yeah, I'd be grateful if you did this to me, or
Yeah.
showed some respect. I'd be grateful to you. I have to first say something nice to the person. I'd be grateful if you can do this.
Yeah, like something that is really doable, visible or hearable action, right? Radhapadma, that you wanted to say something more?
As a statement, we can say that would you be happy to do the service with me together for the pleasure of the Lord? In
Mhm.
that case, both of us can respectfully serve or do something together where there's a situation of respect, mutual respect for each other. Would
Yes.
you be happy to serve me?
Yes, and to be even more clear, it's useful to add where and when and what, which kind of service, when and where, right? Because let's bring example here. You make this request and person says, yes, no problem. And then you go and start to do what you had in your mind next service, and this person doesn't show up, right? So how come? She said yes, but there was not enough specifics mentioned, right? So in order to be sure that another person really knows what he or she says yes or no to, it's good to be very specific. What kind of service I'm requesting this person to do with me, when and where. So the person has full information to say yes or no to. So that makes
Otherwise it seems abstract, like someday we will do service together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's about clarity. Let's see now this other side of, we mentioned that here is also the distinguish, important key differentiation between requests and demands. So what do we mean about demands? Would someone like to read that? Maybe someone who has not been reading yet today, if there is willingness.
Can I read, Mataji?
Please. And welcome.
Demand. Thank you, Mataji, and apologies for last couple of weekends I was unable to attend. Hare Krishna. Demands. To tell if it's demand, observe what speaker does if request is not complied with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do we understand that?
So, I mean, if someone is demanding, and this statement means if we say no to that person, how that person will react.
Yes.
Based on that, we can guess whether it's a demand or a request. Am I right?
Yes, you are going the right direction. And it's also giving feedback to the speaker itself. Because sometimes we can formulate like perfect requests technically, right? It's clear, it's doable actions, it's positive language. It's like answering to all these categories of clear request. But our intention may be that if he doesn't do it or she, or then, right?
Yeah.
That means if and when we don't have this space in ourselves to be ready to encompass both no or yes as an answer, then it tends to be demand. We are seeing this person as the only way to take care of our needs. We have this demanding energy in ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. And then this response of no gives to the speaker, to myself who made request, feedback that when I notice that I'm becoming upset or angry or whatever, start demanding or blaming other person for not complying with my request or guilt tripping or whatever, that is feedback for myself that I actually, my intention wasn't meant to make request. I was masking my demand into the form of request. And let's look at this clue here. When the other person hears a demand from us, then they see only two options, to submit or to rebel. And why these options are not so desirable? Any ideas?
It's a compromise.
Yeah. And what's so bad about compromise?
It's not meeting the needs. It's just temporary, and you just want to get it done. It's not connecting.
Yes, correct. And even its consequences go even further. It has usually very high interest, so-called interest, in our relationship. Because when we have had the relationship where we are demanding from each other, then it creates really such unpleasant mood in relationship where there is like competition instead of desire to contribute to each other from out of free will. It's rather like defending and attacking, or defending myself or fighting for my needs, and there is often no space of seeing the other's needs as important as my own needs. So we may notice that if we have a history, maybe we are on the position of so-called authority as a teachers or boss in the company, or who has a long history of making demands instead of requests, then there is not so much willingness and also maybe courage to really come out with our own solutions or proposals, or there is no sufficient trust and cooperation based on free will and joy of contribution. Does that make sense? And especially, yes,
question,
please.
So when we say when the other person hears demands from us, they see two options, to submit or to rebel.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are demanding, we are not empathetic. Our communication is violent, but person who is hesitating to submit or to rebel, so they also get the same vibes, and as we are not empathetic, they won't be empathetic. So is it not again action and reaction?
Often I would guess it is, yes. Yet in the cases where, for example, when we come across the person who is really connected to himself or herself and really deeply rooted in compassion and seeing us not as objects of fulfilling his or her needs, but able to see us as the parts and parcels of Krishna, and able to see and perceive that Krishna is behind everything, right? And in maybe empathic communication terms, we could say that who is really deeply rooted in this needs consciousness, they can hear needs, our needs, even behind our demands, and not to get caught into this kind of negative vibes.
Oh, yes.
Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you, Mataji. Like when we interact with spiritual masters or senior devotees or
Yes.
compassion, so our maybe we think we are requesting, but we are actually demanding. But
Yeah.
they do not take it as, yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Yes. Thank you. Beautiful question.
Hare Krishna. I
Yes,
have a question.
please.
Okay, this statement here says when a other person hears a demand from us, they see two options: submit or rebel. For example, at our workplace, if the boss demands us to do something, say, do this, and if I don't do it, I'll maybe get fired or get a warning letter. So 3, 4 demands that I didn't meet, I could be fired from work. So looking at the spiritual side, when a guru gives the 4 regulative principles for us to follow, is guru demanding us here or no? That's my question.
What do others? I am very beginner devotee. What do others of you say about that? It's very nice question. Thank you. When our spiritual master gives us these 4 regulative principles, is spiritual master requesting or demanding?
It's not demanding. Demanding means when you are demand for yourself, for your sense enjoyment or for your personal things. But he is, this is the rules which will benefit for us. So it's not demanding. It's from my opinion. It's my realization.
Thank you. Any other comments?
In my opinion, if the spiritual master demands, it's our great fortune.
Maybe let's ask ourselves.
That's
He
true.
has right to demand, actually.
Hi. Krishna, what Krishna wants from us?
Krishna don't demand. We
Wants
are.
love.
And
Krishna.
Krishna demands. Krishna says, abandon all bears of religion and just surrender unto me and shall deliver you from all risk. He demands. Krishna is demanding.
Yes, yes, that may sound like
Krishna is not
demand,
requesting, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But at the end, what Krishna asks from or tells to Arjuna, now I have presented you everything, and you choose, right?
Yes, free will.
Free will, yes. So
Yes.
is Guru Maharaj demanding or giving us
Is
guidelines,
Demanding.
giving us direction?
directions or guide?
Yes, because Krishna has, strange enough, but Krishna has given free will to everyone, each and every one of us, right? Because there cannot be love if there is no free will. And I also remember Krishna Maharaj, I think in some empathic communication sessions, brought up this, that in Shastras also, maybe it's even in his book, I think, in Shastras also, things are stated in very strict and clear way, right? There is not said that if you will be willing, then please chant, or if you are willing, then please do, right? But Shastra and Guru, they need to give very clear directions. This is the direction, this is the way to walk. But the choice is yours, whether you walk it or whether you walk it full-heartedly or half-heartedly or don't walk it. That's my understanding. Choice is always ours, right?
I can add something.
Please.
Okay, yeah. When Guru gives instructions, I always sit next to Guru Maharaj, and Guru Dev says, "What are the 4 regulative principles?" The new disciple say, "These 4 regulations are there." He's not said, "Okay, it's a request, you follow this," or demand to follow this. He just asks them what the 4 regulative principles are. That's all Guru does. He's not demanding, not requesting, and that's it. He said he just only asks us. I didn't hear that he says in the lecture. He said he just asked the disciple. Then it's okay when the disciple says the correctly the following. Okay, your name is so and so. That's it, and gives to kids, and he gives actually. I'm thinking now. He gives a 10, 10 offenses, and one offense is to disobey the orders of spiritual master. That is, if you don't follow the 4 regs, then you are disobeying the spiritual master. So that's why I don't see here in the initiation Gurudev says you must follow these 4 holy principles, or you need to follow, or is demanding. Otherwise, all disciples might not able to follow, and they will disobey the orders of spiritual master. What do you have to say, Mataji?
I apologize. I lost the focus. Anybody could?
Okay.
Can we request Anand Prabhu to tell us?
Okay. Speak again.
Can we request Anand to give his view on this?
I didn't hear who.
Your husband, Mataji.
Radha Mataji, whom you would like to give us?
No, I was
Janananda.
requesting Janananda Prabhuji to please give his views on this question.
Janananda Prabhu.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Please. Are you willing, Janananda Prabhu?
Yeah, I'm quite willing.
Thank you.
It is my experience after I have seen quite many initiations that the person who wants to be initiated promise to follow these 4 regulatory principles. That means the Guru doesn't demand. The Guru says, if you follow these 4 regs, then I will help you, and Krishna will help you. And if you don't follow, if you only follow 3 or 2, then you have to take the consequences, not me. So it's a question about that Guru makes this road. He gives you a map. If you follow the road, then you will come home back to Godhead. If you do something else, then you will take the consequences. That's up to you. We are all here in our free will, and if we misuse our free will to do something else, then you are on your own, so to say. I would still like to help you, but you are still on your own. And as long as you follow my requests, follow the way how to go back to home, back to Godhead, then you have all my blessings. That's my 5 cents.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Radha Mataji, and thank you, Janananda Prabhu. Okay, I suggest that we do now a little practice, because my intention was actually that we will be very practical in these sessions. Somehow there are so many wonderful questions that practice time gets squeezed a little bit, but let me get our practice exercise up, and let's try to, this practice is about trying to, here it is, trying to differentiate whether it is a request or not request. Can you see it right now? No, okay, I need to share the screen. I didn't share it yet. Okay, I will share the screen again. So, oh, okay, here it is. Yes, now I think I got. So let's let's try to distinguish from these statements whether they are clear expressions of requests. And we have also answers at the end. It's from Marshall Rosenberg's book, Nonviolent Communication, A Language of Life. So we can check, and he gives us even his suggestions when it's not a clear request. So who would like to read the first time?
Yeah, I want you to understand me. Demand.
Yeah, is it clear expression? What we want person to do?
No.
I want you.
Yeah, it's a clear, I see the clarity and make, I mean, I'm understanding that there is a conversation already happened, and because person doesn't see that other person is unable to understand, that's why I see it as a request.
Okay.
Although he's using the word I want,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he or she.
I see it's a demand.
Okay. Nalini Prabhu, would you mind to little role play about this request?
Okay.
I will. Yeah, I will make this request to you, and I will ask your feedback. Do you? Yeah. How would you reply to this? So I'm making request to you. I want you to understand me.
For sure, I will try and understand.
But you don't. You don't.
No, what?
I want you to understand me, but you don't. Yeah, can we stop here?
It's a demand. It's a demand.
Okay.
Let's see what
It's a
Marshall
demand.
Rosenberg says about that. Who would like to? Maybe Nalini Prabhu, you would like to read this response to
Okay.
this.
You circled this number. We are not in agreement. To me, the word understand does not clearly express a request. Okay. For a specific action. I request for a specific action might be, I want you to tell me what you heard me say. Oh, yeah.
Does it make difference?
Yes.
Yes. It's actually amazing, isn't it? How we may think that we are making clear requests. I want you to understand me, my dear husband. It's so clear, isn't it? I'm addressing Janananda Prabhu right now, and actually, I'm making such a very vague, and my husband may say, I do, and he sincerely thinks he does, but we don't know it before we really ask for a specific action that can give us clue if this other person understands or not, right? And if we would reframe this request this way, I want you to tell me what you heard me saying, then we can get feedback and decide whether we were understood or not. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for being willing to do this little role play. Okay. Next sentence, I would like to read that. Next request. Janananda Prabhu, you haven't read so much today. Maybe you would like to take that.
I would like you to tell me one thing that I did that you appreciate.
Yeah. So is it clearly stated request?
Yeah.
Is there, can the person really take action? What is asked here?
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yes. And let's see what Marshall Rosenberg says. If you circle this number, we are in agreement that the speaker is clearly requesting a specific action. Yes. Thank you. Let's take a few more. Yeah. Any comments here?
Now I'm just starting to understand that request means there should be a specific as we read. Yeah.
Yes, like very specific, so it doesn't leave room to interpretations, which are always very confusing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Nimai Prabhu, would you like to read the third one, if you are willing? And if not, that's also okay.
Okay, I can. Sorry, I'm just away from the computer at the moment.
Thank you.
So the third one is, I'd like you to feel more confident in yourself.
Thank you. Is that clear, doable action that is asked for here?
No, it's not clear.
Yeah. Anybody have different opinion? So let's check with Marcel then. Third one. Maybe Jaya Radhika Mataji, are you willing to read that sentence? And if not, that's also completely okay. I'm just longing to hear and see you as well. All right, anybody who would like to read this third answer?
Yeah, I can read.
Thank you.
If you circle this number, we are not in agreement. To me, the words feel more confidence do not clearly express a request for a specific action. A request for a specific action might be, I would like you to take a course in assertiveness training, which I believe would increase your self-confidence, right?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Do you see the difference, everybody?
Yes, yes.
Like between this one, which states very clear action, I'd like you to take a course in assertiveness training, which I believe would increase your self-confidence. Instead of asking that, I would like you to be more self-confident. How would it leave us to feel? It's like, oh, what should I do now, right? Thank you. Okay.
I guess it means to give, when you ask a question to somebody, you must give a solution to that.
Could you say again, please, Prabhu? I couldn't hear properly.
When you ask, okay, sorry, if you ask somebody to do something, you have to give a solution in your answer.
You mean, yeah, you mean that?
Yes, in this case, I'd like you to take a course in assertiveness training, which I believe would increase your self-confidence. The solution. In the question, there's also a solution.
Yeah, you propose solution that you believe would meet your needs, right? And at the same time, it makes it request when I'm having openness to both answers, yes or no, right? As you said, yes. That doesn't mean that I'm completely stuck in this solution, that you have to do this or, right? That makes it into demand. But it makes communication much more clear when we are really clearly stating what we would like to be happen, and at the same time holding it lightly that the other person may have a different needs that prevent to say yes to that. It's very exciting topic, this request topic, to go deeper. So one day maybe. Okay, let's take one more. Who would like to read that?
I want you to stop drinking.
Yes, is that clear enough request?
I don't think so.
Demand.
Yeah.
I want you to stop drinking. I think it's very unclear.
Mm.
And it's like, I don't think anyone can just stop drinking just like that. Rather than, there's no solution to it. It's more like, stop drinking without, like, you're just putting somebody in the middle of something. I want you to stop drinking.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, please. You wanted to say something more?
I said it's a condition, like you're just putting somebody in that condition without a situation, without a solution. I want you to stop drinking.
Any other opinions?
There is no
Maybe.
options. Yeah.
Yes, maybe the husband and wife are in a party, and the husband is drinking, and the husband wife knows if the husband drinks too much, he cannot drive back. So he wife say, "I want you to stop drinking."
Yeah, so in your opinion, is it clear request or not
It's a
enough?
clear request. It's a clear request.
Okay, let's see what is saying Marshall Rosenberg. Here is the next one. Who would like to read that one? Try to make it all blue. Yeah, who would like to read that?
If you, so, yes. Jananda Prabhu, you are reading?
No, I think you are reading.
Okay, okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. If you circle this number, we are not in agreement. To me, the words stop drinking do not express what the speaker wants, but rather what he or she doesn't want. A request for specific action might be, I want you to tell me what needs of yours are met by drinking, and to discuss with me other ways of meeting those needs. Yes. So it was a demand, but it can turn into request by paraphrasing it.
Yeah,
Not only paraphrasing, but intending.
yeah.
Intending to
Yes, please.
intending to help, and then language will be changed.
Mm-hmm.
It is a request only, but it does not have positive language as we just discussed it.
Mm-hmm. It states what the person doesn't want instead of what he or she does want, right? And it's not specific enough. Like if you say someone, I want you to stop drinking, then yeah, anyway, we are approaching to our.
Also, I have something to say. It
Yes,
says
please.
here in that answer, I want you to tell me what needs of yours are met by drinking. That's another sentence there. I want you to tell me what needs of yours are met by drinking.
Yeah, and I didn't hear, what was your comment about that part?
That part we didn't discuss anything on that one.
Mm.
The needs that person is drinking. So there's a question here. What you have to ask the person, what needs of yours are met by drinking? What he's drinking? Why he's drinking? Is there a need for drinking? What needs are met by drinking? That's what he's saying here.
Like I can be depressed and I drink and I feel better. I forget about what I was depressed about.
Yeah.
Is it? So that's the coping strategy, that person is self-medicating with alcohol to hide, to mask his feelings of depression and forget about it. And then with this request, we can open up what other ways we can help you, or you think things can help you and not to drink then.
Yes, exactly. As we maybe as you remember all that behind every action that person takes are needs. Even if this action is self-destructive or whatever, it's still attempt to meet some needs. And like Nalinikant Prabhu brought this example, that person may drink alcohol in order to cope with his depression. So there is a need behind that. But when person becomes more aware of the needs, and both, there are two sets of needs, right? One set of needs that gets met by this strategy of drinking alcohol, but there is also another set of needs that doesn't get met, right? need for general health and different, right? So only as Nalini and Prabhu mentioned, that when we open up to the needs, then we can see, and person can start to see actually more clearly what needs get met and what needs actually are refraining not met. And then person can start to make free choices actually to choose different strategies that may encompass meeting more needs in order to and harming less a person. And then these kind of changes usually are lasting changes because they are made out of free will. They are not made out of suppression, neither out of outside suppression, neither inside suppression. Because inside we also have different parts of us. And we have like inner critic, and we have another part who is choosing to do, who is choosing, for example, to take this strategy of drinking. And when this inner critic is criticizing this chooser, it creates inner tension and inner oppression. And it usually doesn't bring to long-lasting suppression solutions. Is that your experience as well in medical field, Nalini and Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes. All right. Unfortunately, again, the time is not under our control, and it's end to wrap up today's session. I feel very enlivened and happy and inspired for your association, and very grateful that you choose to be part of it. And I also have a need for feedback. So if one of two of you would choose to share what kind of needs of yours have been either met or unmet by joining this session, or something else you feel important to say, I would be very glad to hear. And I hope the ones who need to leave, because we are now over our time, you please take care of your needs. And the ones who would like to give some feedback, I would be happy to hear.
I have just one thing to add to my comments earlier about taking initiation, if it is demands or requests. That is that the spiritual master agree to take the bad karma which the person comes for the initiation, and therefore, of course, stresses these 4 regs, because if we don't follow them, some karma will fall back on our spiritual master, and that's something we should try to avoid.
We should choose to try to avoid. That's our practice at home, to try to transform our consciousness from should thinking into choose thinking. So we are not pure enough yet to say, I choose to, but we are catching more and more often ourselves when we say should, and then we add the choose, and it feels like nice transition. Thank you, Janananda. Anybody else?
I can add something, Mataji. In this course, I'm getting deeper into what actually the needs and wants and demands, and how to separate them. These things I'm learning from this course. It is very helpful and very educational to me. Thank you, Mataji.
I'm taking your permission to leave. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, and please accept my humble obeisances. Thank you very much. Looking forward to see you next time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.